All right, so next on the agenda is what I'm calling Candidates Night. By now, probably all have your ballots in hand. I know I do. Mine came, I think, probably Saturday. So I've been sitting on it for a couple days. So we have two of the three candidates here in channel. I haven't seen Fred yet. And
I have.
Oh, there he is. Hi, Fred.
Hi.
Okay, good. I guess you were actually presenting to the Bill Ricker Club tonight.
I was here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah. And as I had some communication with these gentlemen earlier today, I mean, I'm sure they're being pulled every which way for this. We got just about 30 minutes. Let's stick with the 10-minute format. And I'll keep it a check on time and give you a 2-minute warning. As I explained to the gentlemen, that their time is free for them to use how they see best. If they want to take questions, they may. If they just want to give a pitch, that's good too. I don't have a super fair way to select the order. I'll just give you the order based on when I recognized you were in the channel. And Tom, you were first. So Tom, K1KI can go first, then Fred, AB10C, and then Fred, K1BR. Tom, are you ready?
Sure.
Okay, why don't you take it away?
Okay, thanks. The good news here is you have a choice of 3 candidates who are all YCCC members. I think that says something about the club, something very positive. Anyhow, obviously I'm running again for ARRL director. I think most of you know me over the years. I've been YCCC president. I've been involved a lot in contesting for a couple of years. But I'm running because I'm concerned that things aren't running smoothly enough in Newington. And I really want to encourage the board and the CEO to focus better on 2 specific things. One is to improve our relations with the FCC and with Congress. It's been a difficult time political-wise in Washington and COVID-wise, but our future and the future of ham radio is in the hands of Congress passing or not passing laws and the FCC in carrying them out and however they implement them. So it's really important that we have a strong relationship with the FCC and Congress. We currently have a bunch of things at the FCC that are on hold. And the FCC is well known as a slow bureaucracy, not just a bureaucracy, but a slow one. And I think it's really important that we do some things to encourage them to move more quickly on issues that have been put before them over the last few years. In fact, one of the issues they're dealing with, the ARRL proposed in 2013, and they still haven't resolved it. And that has to do with allowing Pactor 4 and some other digital modes to be used in the US. The rest of the world can use it, but for some reason in the US we're not allowed to. And the FCC is still sitting on it 8 years later. There's a bunch of other things that are pending. I won't go into them in detail here, but there are very important things that have been proposed by ARRL and others that the FCC just is not acting on. Other people are very involved with the FCC. If you're involved in a telecom company dealing with spectrum auctions and other things, you're on the phone every day with the FCC or meeting with them in some fashion, even though the FCC offices are closed. They're not sitting on their hands. And we've got to do better at twisting arms and working to put things in front of the FCC that encourages them to move more quickly on dealing with the things that are necessary to keep amateur radio current with technology and modernized. So that's one thing I think is extremely important. And at the same time, we've gone through a 5-year period where we've had multiple CEOs at ARRL since Dave Sumner retired. Not only multiple CEOs, but temporary CEOs. And I think that's had a negative impact on the organization. Some of it has resulted in our inability to effectively twist arms at the FCC, but we've got some key open positions right now. We've got open position for IT manager that's been open for 1.5 years. For public relations manager, again, that's been open for 1.5 years. So we're not even telling the general public what amateur radio is doing to a great degree, because we don't have the right staff in place in many positions at headquarters. If you look at the ARRL website, you know that the website is pretty dated and needs updating. There's a lot of software in Newington that needs updating, and not having an IT manager is a pretty critical problem. For those of you who care about DXCC, you don't want to know what the software is that supports the DXCC system because, well, it was actually written in Fox Pro. And this was Fox Pro before Microsoft bought Fox Pro and discontinued it in 2005. And to be worse, and worse than that, it's written in Fox Pro for DOS. So think about that and how much you like DXCC. I will say that organizationally, the board has funded some projects to fix that over the years, and it hasn't happened. So I can't say that it hasn't been tried, but it hasn't been completed either. And there's a bunch of backlogged projects that are very critical to both the running of the ARRL business and the managing of the various ARRL programs that are just not happening. So that's a really important thing for the CEO to be doing. And it's important for the board to focus on encouraging the CEO to step up and get those positions filled. And I'm sure he's having a difficult time. He's been there for less than 1 year. But I guess I would say that we're running behind, and it's really important for the board to focus on that. And it's important organizationally for us to get all the wheels running in the same direction. So for me, the focus on the CEO, focus on strategic issues is really important. The ARRL had a strategic plan that was developed in 2016. It was a 5-year plan, and it ran out this year. And the best I can tell, there's no new plan being developed. And I think that's a mistake. The board needs to focus on that, get that moving, and at least plan at least 3 to 5 years out, and focus on getting the organization running in that direction. The 2 areas I like to talk about to local clubs is the transition from getting somebody licensed to getting somebody on the air. I talk a lot about something that we started in New England 25 years ago, which was the Get on the Air program. Where basically we matched up lists of new hams and new upgrades with local clubs and encourage the local clubs to reach out to new hams, to mentor them, get them on the air, and so on. Because only about 20% of new hams actually get on the air. It's not good. We really need to step up on that. We did that in New England for a few years, and I talked the board into actually adding it as a part of the field day rules called the Get on the Air station in field day. So that's been in place for about 20 years, and that focuses on mentoring, and it focuses on getting new hams on the air. And I think pretty effectively. But the problem is that field day is once a year, and that kind of activity has to be ongoing. Secondly, is that getting people on the air actually helps to make sure that people stay on the air and stay active and help to build the ARRL as a strong organization.
2 minutes.
ARRL has, 150,000 members, but there's 700,000 hams that are licensed. Again, that's about 25% at best, and we need to do better than that. A lot of those hams are not on the air or didn't ever get on the air, and a 10-year license takes a long time to expire. But to be strong, we need hams that are active, that are on the air, that care about operating and care about building. And again, taking the step from license to getting on the air to becoming a league member is part of a process that we have to encourage all the way through. So, you know, that's part of what I did with the New England QSO Party. It's actually what I did as part of the California QSO Party when I started it 50 years ago almost. So I guess I'll just say that you have your ballot, or most of you have it by now. Please take the time to look at all the 3 candidates. I'm available for phone calls or questions if you have any, and make a good choice because it's your choice, and look forward to seeing the results in November. Thank you very much. Back to Net.
Thank you, Tom. Very good. It's perfect timing. All right, why don't we move forward? Fred?
All right, thank you, and appreciate the opportunity to be here. So I think there are a few fundamental issues that if we focus well on them and solve some problems, we're going to address a lot of the things that are holding the ARRL and the amateur radio back. Top of my list is to bring new people into amateur radio and get them active and on the air. And you know, the ARRL has an important role to play here with providing the resources for training and mentoring, but you can't do that without support from local clubs and groups like all of you. When a new ham gets licensed, and I've had quite a bit of experience with this, we've licensed or upgraded over 370 hams in the last 5 years through active training classes. We've had a chance to build a relationship and understand kind of what makes these folks tick. Tom is right. Best case, 25%, probably more like 15% of the hams that get a technician license will not be active, or will be the only ones active and on the air in a year, and the other 85% will not. And I can tell you that's all about the lack of cohesive mentoring. The ARRL can lay the groundwork to do that work, but without involving all of you in that mentoring role, we simply will not get it done. And if we do a better job of bringing new people to amateur radio of all ages, then I think we can solve a lot of our issues with spectrum use, public support for amateur radio, the league's business and membership problems, and so on. Secondly, if we're going to have any hope of protecting our rights as hams and promoting emergency communications work in public service, we simply have to build better public support and awareness for amateur radio. You know, I served for a period of time on the FCC Technical Advisory Committee, where I actually worked on a daily basis with FCC members to formulate policy along with a group of other industry experts. Let me tell you how this actually works. There are 2 things that drive the FCC's agenda: lobbying pressure through money and public pressure of people who are concerned about issues. That's what drove the projects that the FCC worked on when I was there. So let's look at the data a little bit. In 2019, the major telecommunications vendors collectively spent about $67 million on lobbying in Washington, D.C. Half of that was spent by the big 3, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile, who represent the biggest threats to our spectrum above, let's say, conservatively 400 megahertz. If the ARRL were to attempt to lobby against those folks alone, we would be bankrupt in roughly 18 months. It would completely drain the financial resources. So while lobbying is important, it is not the answer to the problem. We simply need to build good public support and awareness for amateur radio and use that to drive the behavior in places like the FCC PAC. Now, Tom mentioned some key open positions inside the league. One of the top ones are the PR positions, the PR manager and social media manager. And the reason those are so important is those are key roles in generating the kind of public support and pressure we need to actually move the FCC. And if you think that the current process is working, can anybody think of a piece of meaningful legislation to protect amateur radio rights that anybody can remember getting passed in the last 5 years? Anywhere? So what does that tell you about the current strategy and the approach that the ARRL is taking to this problem? Is it effective? I don't think so. And so how do you build that public awareness and support? The PR team inside the league has a key role. On the field staff, and there's a role in the field staff, some of you are aware of it, called the Public Information Coordinator. That role needs to be filled in every single section and coupled into what's going on in the PR campaign inside the league. And we need an effective strategy to make the public aware of amateur radio and get them to support and apply the kind of pressure that the FCC and government agencies will respond to. As far as getting the ARRL to work more effectively, I think there are lots of internal problems. The top one of which is there is no cohesive strategy of what the ARRL is trying to accomplish. And you know, I was responsible for strategic planning for a multi-billion-dollar corporation for many years, Lucent Technologies. Let me tell you a little bit about how strategy actually works in practice. If you have a good set of strategic priorities, you use them to align everything your organization does to solve problems. You align your PR people. You align all your recognition rewards programs. You align your membership around all those things. The lack of a strategic plan, and more importantly, the lack of a board who has the skills and the expertise and the experience to develop one is a serious impediment. And without that, we are never going to get all of our wood behind a few arrows that are going to actually make a difference. Okay? So that's really important as well. I also think that communications is sorely lacking, and quite frankly, the efforts to, quotes, improve communication have been largely failures. And the reason is that they've all been about exposing just a little bit of information about what the ARRL's already decided to do, as opposed to real communications, which involves listening to people on a regular basis and then acting on their feedback and trying to deal with their concerns. Listening, our communications is mostly about listening, not telling people why you already did what you've done without their input. Okay. I just finished before this meeting my second town hall meeting New England wide, where I've been engaged with folks inside New England as ARRL members, trying to listen to, understand their concerns, talk about them, and see if I can't work along with the team of people that I've assembled to formulate good policy to try to address their issues. That's how you do real communications, and it needs to be candid and not behind a curtain. I also think that a lot of the issues that we're trying to solve or address are becoming urgent. We don't have time to solve them one at a time with subject matter experts who are directors. The only way I know of to solve a broad range of problems is to build an effective team, listen to your team members, collaborate with them to solve problems and develop good policy. I've assembled a group of folks that includes section managers, ASMs, traffic handlers, MCOM people, club presidents. We spend time on a Slack channel every single day discussing ARRL issues. I get input from all of these folks, and I'm using it to form good policy that I'm going to carry into the board as your director. So with that, I will simply say that several folks have asked me, why do I want to do this? What got me into it? It's actually the people on my team that encouraged me to run. I did not go looking for this job. I've had a bunch of people who I really respect, people like Phil Temples, our vice director, and others, that asked me to take on this job to try to improve the situation and make the league more responsive to the concerns of people in the division. I hope that some more people will join that team. The intent is to get as much input and collaboration as I possibly can. And you know, my goal simply is to try to make amateur radio better. I think it changes people's lives for the better. I've heard lots of stories that changed my life, and I'll bet it's changed some of yours as well. We need a director who's going to focus on protecting the hobby and preserving it as we go forward and making it stronger. And I hope you'll give me a chance to do that for you. Ken, if I have any time left, I'd like to take a few questions or comments if people have them.
Okay, yes, you have 2 minutes left.
Okay, any questions, comments, feedback, concerns? Anything at all from anybody?
I'd like to just say, Fred, that after seeing your presentation at Marlboro, that we took a number of your points and put them to work in our club, and they're already starting to, you know, come up with some good ideas. And Also, we've already started a couple of different programs to build membership. So thank you very much for that. I just wanted to let you know that.
Well, I really appreciate that. You know, hopefully you'll join in with some of the other folks in the division as you begin to make those programs work and share what worked. This is one of the visions that I have for appointing assistant directors, to bring folks like you together with other clubs who are struggling with membership and mentoring and all the kinds of stuff, so you can share ideas and help build some world-class programs in the division that actually work. I'm really glad to hear you were able to follow through. Other questions or comments? All right, I'll give my rest of my time back. If anybody has concerns or questions, you can reach me at ab10c@arrl.net. We recorded the first town hall and also the one tonight. They'll be on my website both by tomorrow morning if you'd like to watch them and see what folks were concerned about and what we think we can do to help. So back to you, Ken.
Excellent. Thank you, Fred. Very good. All right, Fred, K1BR, you're up.
Thank you. Have I got the ability to share my screen now?
Yes, we can see it. Very good.
Terrific. Well, first of all, it's always a treat to be in front of YCCC. I was a charter member there the day we created it, and still a member, happy to be part of it all these years. I thought I'd give a different kind of a talk tonight, which is the talk I've labeled "What I Did on My Summer Vacation." This is how I spent my summer. And one of the things I did is I published a book. This is the 3rd edition of Antenna Zoning for the Radio Amateur, on sale at the ARRL bookstore. I managed to create an investment management committee by motion last January. And at the July board meeting, we got a favorable vote for the concept that I had proposed of transitioning from using a single person to watch over our approximately $40 million endowment to professional investment management. And now I can pretty much assure you we will have a professional investment management company in place by January. That, by the way, should give us more money to play with for those mission critical projects we need to work on. One of the projects that I've been working on very much in addition is to draft a bill, having managed to get the a previous bill withdrawn from Congress. I worked hundreds of hours, and it's now been given to the Congress. It's gone through the Office of Legislative Counsel. 2 days ago, we were meeting with a potential sponsor, and it's never a good idea to get out ahead of your sponsors for legislation. But I'm hopeful that any day now, you'll be able to see the bill we've drafted and put to the Congress. I am sensitive to the fact that we haven't passed anything in 5 years, but there's a much bigger movement behind the Equal Rights Amendment than India. It hasn't passed in 40 years. So, you know, you got to understand that Congress works at its own pace. In terms of transparency, one of the things I promised was, when I was running last time, was that I would try to make sure that people knew more about what happens. I discovered that the standing orders of the board were each created by a minute, and the minutes were published. But the collection of standing orders was secret, available only to officers, directors, and vice directors. So I published the standing orders in chronological order, and then with the help of K1DCA from Cape Cod, I reorganized them by subject matter and published those this summer. They are available on anydiv.arrl.org, and if you don't have a copy, send me an email, and I'll be happy to provide you with a copy of the ARRL standing orders so you know how the board works. In addition, over the summer, I created a 6-part webinar at the request of the League on the subject of antenna zoning, start to finish, how you get a permit, how you go through the process. And that's now available on the ARRL website in their learning network. Another thing I did was appointed Rudy Bakalov, N2WQ, a member of this club, to replace retiring W1UE. And if you don't know about Rudy, he's the guy who runs DX Lodge Roatan HQ9X. He's also a high-level IT kind of guy, and I'm hoping that we're going to get some good contributions from him on things like Logbook of the World and anything that has to do with contesting. In the July meeting, I actually had to break away from the meeting in Connecticut and drive almost 2 hours to Milford, New Hampshire, where we had the second of two long hearings totaling over 4 hours to get antenna permits for NN1SS to erect two 90-foot Rowan 45s. I'm pleased to tell you that we were successful. You're seeing the building permit there that required a special permit. I also managed to pull in this summer a land court decision on behalf of KD1MF. We had to sue the city of Framingham. And not only did we win, but I'm pleased to show you on the left what the tower looks like up in the air. And despite what people said at the hearing, I assure you that the Western world as we know it has not come to an end. And then Misha, KD1MF himself, is standing there demonstrating for a lot of you who may not know what that is. That's really an anti-climbing device. He figured out how to buy some stuff from Home Depot, spray painted gray to match the tower, and now you have to bring your own ladder if you want to climb that tower. You can't get a finger grab or climb it readily. And among other things that I've been doing this summer is running for office. And you'll see what I'm advertising on the table, which is my YCCC hat. I'm always proud to be a member. Finally, I thought I'd give you guys instructions on how to vote this year, in case you needed those instructions. And thank you for your attention. I do want to have the chance to serve you again. You asked me to serve, I'm happy to serve. If you ask me again, I'll be delighted to serve again. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Fred. You got a few more minutes. Did you want to entertain some questions?
I'd be happy to.
Anybody? Uh-oh, somebody's getting bored, I guess.
Maybe someone's trying to work the S9.
I think it was a W1.
Well, it was a W1 trying to work the S9, maybe. Who knows? We only heard part of it. Thank you, Ken. If there are any questions, people know how to reach me. I'm not hard to find. There aren't a whole lot of Hopen Gardens in the phone book.
Excellent. All right. Thank you.
Ken, thanks for the opportunity to have a little time here. We appreciate that.
Yep. It's good. It kind of met my my vision of what we wanted to try to accomplish, what I wanted to try to accomplish here. Work for you guys.